Hello there, and welcome to the science course. My name is Amanda, and I have been teaching in adult education for a very, very long time. I do love math. That's my absolute favorite subject, but science is a close second because a lot of science involves math. So the two go hand in hand. I very much enjoy both of them. I wanted to let you know if you need to reach me, my contact information is here at the bottom of the screen, and by far the easiest way to get me is email because I have access to my email all the time. The phone numbers will work as well, but the email will be the fastest way if you need to reach me in a hurry. I wanted to tell you just a little bit about the course before we get started so that you know how it's set up and what to expect. I am using this textbook that you see here. I have given you the link to that also at the bottom. If you don't have one of the textbooks, we do have a classroom set, so if you're getting this material from us here at the center, you will have access to the material that you need. But if you don't have a copy of the book and you want to get one, they're about $12, I believe, at the link that's below here. So I wanted to include that also to cite the source of the material. I will not be using any of the material copied on the screens because that violates copyright laws, but I am referencing a lot of the material, and I'll try to tell you when it's coming directly from the book. Okay, the next page is just a question. I want to tell you how this course works, and to do that, I'm going to ask you this question. What is dihydrogen monoxide? Now, if you know the answer to that question off the top of your head, that is awesome. And you probably don't need this course if you know what that big term means. Most people do not. It's not a word that you're going to hear in everyday life. But I want to show you something here, and then I'll tell you the point of this at the end. So just bear with me just a little while. In 1983, it came out that this substance called dihydrogen monoxide accelerates corrosion or speeds up the breaking down of things. It can cause suffocation, so it can literally cause death if you are exposed to this substance in the wrong way. It's fatal if it's inhaled. And it can cause, and I'll tell you up front here, I don't write and talk well at the same time, so I apologize from the get-go for that. It can cause or produce blistering vapor. So if I told you about this substance and I told you these characteristics or these traits of the substance, what would you think? What are you thinking right now? Is this something that you want to have contact with? Okay, let's break down the word itself. So let's try to figure out what this substance is. I'm going to rewrite the term so I can work with it just a little bit. So dihydrogen monoxide. It's a huge term. And you will notice as we progress through this science material, a lot of the terms are like this. They're words that are hard to say. They're even harder to understand unless you know some background and some tricks to help you with this. And that's what I'm here to do. I cannot possibly teach you 12 years of science in these videos. These videos are relatively short, even though there are a lot of them, they're short. And I can't possibly give you all the science knowledge of 12 years of school in a few videos. So I'm going to help you try to break things down in a way that you can reason through some of these questions enough to pass the exams that you need. And here's an example of that breaking down. I'm going to highlight a couple of things right here, or at least I'm going to try. Let me make my highlighter just a little bit bigger. So let's start by highlighting a couple of things. Di and mono. Okay. And I'm just going to tell you up front that Di means two and that mono means one. So in science, anywhere really in life, if you see those prefixes, you're talking about two if you see Di, one if you see mon or mono. Hydrogen is an element that is labeled with an H, and oxide is in the family of the word oxygen, which is an element that is labeled with an O. So let's look at what we're saying here. We have two of these H's, and I'm just going to draw circles for now. You'll learn why a little bit down the road. But I'm going to make one of these an H. So we're going to call this an atom of hydrogen. And I need another one that's identical to it. So there are my two H's. And let's draw an atom of oxygen, which is quite a bit bigger than a hydrogen. Okay. So this is an O. I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty here getting this. Okay, there we go. So we have two of the hydrogens and one of the oxygens. And I'm going to bring these together to form a molecule. I'm going to connect them, basically, is all. And I apologize for that sound if you heard it. There's an air freshener in this room that sounds kind of strange every few minutes. So if I connect those, where have you seen this particular notation before? Anybody have any idea what H2O means? Scientifically, it means two hydrogens and one oxygen joined together into one molecule of water. So this is the water that you and I drink, that we shower in, that we cook with, that we swim in. That is dihydrogen monoxide. It's everyday water. So let's go back to the claims here. Water accelerates corrosion. Well, that's true. If you leave a metal object out in the rain, it's going to corrode eventually. It'll rust. It can cause suffocation. That's true. If I swallow water too fast, or if I'm underwater, if I inhale the water, it can be deadly if inhaled. It can cause blistering vapor. If I boil that water and it makes steam, that can blister my skin. So yes, this substance fits all of those descriptors, but it's everyday water. And my point is this. Sometimes in science, things look to be terribly, terribly complicated. And they are. They're hard. This word is hard to break down. If you don't know what di and mono mean, this is almost impossible to do. So my job in this course is to teach you those tricks like that, to help you learn ways to break down these big words so that you can understand what you're reading about. I told you that this story or this happened in 1983, and that's true. It happened in a town in Michigan when a newspaper ran an April Fool's story about this dihydrogen monoxide. They actually labeled it DHMO. So people were panicking because of this stuff. And several versions of this hoax have been perpetrated since. But this originated in 1983 in a little town in Michigan. People were scared because they didn't know what they were talking about. They heard bits and pieces they really didn't understand, and when they put it all together, it made a very big situation. Again, my point is that I'm hopefully in this course going to focus on breaking things down for you so that you can understand what you're reading in science. I am not trying to teach you every fact there is. I can't do that. I'm going to teach you a lot of definitions. Not for memorizing. I don't want you to memorize as much as I want you to understand as we're going through them what we're talking about. You're going to see a lot of diagrams in this course. I've tried to include diagrams at every lesson if I can, because you see a lot of diagrams and graphs and charts on exams. I know some of you are planning to go on into medical professions, nursing or CNA type professions. So I'm going to try to give you some specific science for that and for other fields that you may be interested in. So this is general science. We're going to focus on a little bit of everything. And this is the method that you'll see. What you see on this page is a very good example of how this whole course will unfold. Okay, the next page I want to show you is called a master list of morphemes. So let me tell you first of all what a morpheme is. And I'm going to just write that right in here. A morpheme is a word part. So we're going to make a list as we go through this science book of important word parts that we need to know. And sort of the key color for that I want to use is this pink or purple. So every time I see one of these morphemes, I'm going to highlight that with this color. And we're going to come back to this page and add that to this page. And when we get to the end of this book, you're going to have a page full. We're going to do a lot of these. And we already know two of them. If you back up just a little bit to this page, let's add di and mono to this list. And first I'm going to put mono because it means one. So all I'm going to do is say mono, and then the rest of the word would come after the mono. So this is a prefix. This is something you would find at the beginning of a word. And it means one. Okay. And I'm going to use just a bullet so we can tell them apart. Di is a prefix. It means two. So as we progress through this material, you will learn a lot about morphemes. And that's going to help us understand this very complicated science that we have to do. Okay, this is the introduction. I will see you in the next chapter or the next module. Each of these tabs is a module, and we'll be covering those. Each of those corresponds to a section in the textbook. And again, remember the textbook is this one. I am not using anything out of there yet. The example that I gave you here is not from the book. It's just something that I knew about and wanted to share with you. But beginning in the next module, we will be using the textbook terms. And I'll see you then.